Here's something you won't hear every day. Mumalala, mumalala, mumalala. Do you also love impressions? You know, when an artist tries to nail another person's sound and expression. You know, like this.
See you guys today. You're doing a tremendous job. And may I say right off the bat, Piers, it's great to have you out of that evil CNN and back where you belong in London. And
now I want to make my Leon Ndugu Chancellor impression, the drummer who played on Billie Jean. It's pretty close, huh? Here's my Phil Rudd impression, the drummer who played on Highway to Hell, AC/DC. Pretty amazing, right? Chick Corea once said, a beat is actually being able to play a bar of rhythms. And then you have to repeat this bar many times. And you have to try to get as close to the sound of the first bar as possible in your repetitions. Repetition. Repetition. And there's no one better at this than Steve Gadd, Chick Corea said. Steve Gadd is the master of repetition. It's a constant imitation of what he played just before. When he's really precise, which he is all the time, the beat becomes a time loop, a small Groundhog Day. And every human being on Earth loves a great beat. And in order to understand why this is, we need to learn about two psychic systems that are constantly running inside every human being. Cognitive ease and the mere exposure effect.
How many times does the chorus repeat in your favorite song? And take a moment to think. How many times have you listened to it? Chances are you've heard that chorus repeated dozens, if not hundreds of times. And it's not just popular songs in the West that repeat a lot. Repetition is a feature that music from cultures around the world tends to share. So why does music rely so heavily on repetition? One part of the answer comes from what psychologists call the mere exposure effect. In short, people tend to prefer things they've been exposed to before. For example, a song comes on the radio that we don't particularly like, but then we hear the song at the grocery store, at the movie theater, and again on the street corner. Soon, we are tapping to the beat, singing the words, even downloading the track. This mere exposure effect doesn't just work for songs. It also works for everything from shapes to Super Bowl ads.
The things we're exposed to repeatedly feel more true. Now, the way this seems to work is through a mechanism called cognitive ease. Cognitive ease is a measure of how hard your brain is working, from easy, like when you're scrolling through Facebook, to hard, like if you're trying to multiply 14 times 37 in your head. Things that are true generally elicit cognitive ease, like fire is hot, Earth revolves around the sun, dogs have 4 legs, and so on. Not only do these things feel true, they also feel familiar, effortless, and they feel good. All of these are outcomes of cognitive ease. Now, the trouble arises because cognitive ease can be artificially created in other ways. One way is just by repeating the stimulus.
So the many repetitions you hear in a drum rhythm gives a nice feeling in the body. And immediately you have a sense of belonging to the rhythm due to the recognizability. And this is not something you can choose to do. It runs on autopilot inside your head. Many will say, no, Kalle. It's just my musical taste that tells me that I like Steve Gadd's rhythms. Well, I have found that there is an equation behind your musical taste, which is the mere exposure effect plus cognitive ease plus your upbringing plus social norms equals your musical taste. As you can see, there is very little you decide in this equation, which is why you are so easy to manipulate. And there's nothing I say in this video that comes from my personal musical taste. No, all I present is the objective truth. What happens completely objectively in the music. But then we have a drum solo where you can finally get away from the repetitions and improvise, compose in the now. I've listened to 3 different Steve Gadd drum solos on YouTube, and all 3 solos were built around these 4 concepts. I can't play it nearly as great as Steve Gadd. If he's 100%, I'm at 5% or something, so don't worry. In every solo, he plays slow funk with these 30-second notes variations. And in every solo, he plays this lick from a Ricky Lee Jones song. In every solo, he plays phrases from Crazy Army. And in every solo ends on this 16th triplet lick. So Steve Gadd's solos are also repetitions. And I understand why he does it. Because the audience expects him to play these Gadd licks. And the audience shouts and screams with happiness when he plays them. And now you think, yes, Kalle, I also want to be able to make people shout and scream when I play. And I also want to be recorded on 500 records like Steve Gadd has done. I don't want to end up like you, sitting in a cellar playing videos no one wants to see. I can help you with becoming as good as Steve Gadd. There's only one thing you have to do. Practice. If you played this film for 8 hours a day for 2 months, then after 2 months you'll be able to play it so great that if you play it in front of an audience, they will shout and scream. Ah! Ah! In this culture of repetition, it's all about how much time you have spent with your instrument. I have made a graph which tells you everything you need to know in order to be a successful musician in this world we live in. Okay, here is my graph. If you look at the y-axis, the y-axis is measured in time. And the y-axis measures how many hours it would take a random person to play or sing what is being played. And it's measured in hours, as you can see. The x-axis is measured in courage. The x-axis measures what the music should do to me. And as you can see in the beginning, the courage level is put your hands up in the air. And then it goes to look at my pussy. It could also be look at my dick. And then it goes to love. 90% of all music wants to talk about love, being loved or losing love. So this is the most common courage level in a song. And then we go to more courage. How can we become better humans? This takes a lot of courage. And the biggest courage statement is doing something that hasn't been done before. And if you look up here, people that are on this courage level are people like Gigi Allen, Jimi Hendrix, Frank Zappa, Miles Davis, Igor Stravinsky, Jaco Pastorius. So let's look at some drummers. Here you have Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich is about, if you want to be able to play as Buddy Rich, you should approximately practice for 60,000 hours. That's a lot. But look down here, if you want to be able to like produce a song like Kanye West, you only need to practice on producing for 90 hours. Or if you want to be able to sing like him, you also only have to practice for 90 hours. And now you think, hey, stop, Kalle. He's better than that. He's a good singer. Okay, then check this.
Mama, I just killed a man. Put my gun up to his head. Pulled the trigger, now he's dead.
So Buddy Rich is at 70,000 hours. That's a lot. And he is a bit further than Love on the courage scale, because I've listened to a lot of his songs, and the only thing I can take out of his songs is that he wants to show us how good of a drummer he is, how well he can swing, and all the songs are like talking about, there's no lyrics, but the feeling in the songs is love, or for example Norwegian Wood by Beatles and something like that. Steve Gadd has also his own band. He's also a band leader, and he is actually right next to Buddy Rich right there. Other band leaders that are drummers could be Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac. He would be around there. Phil Collins, he would be around there. Art Blakey. Art Blakey had a lot more courage. He was struggling against racism and trying to make a career as a black drummer band leader. That's not easy. So he's up here close to Stevie Wonder. But there are no drummers over here. Drummers who are trying to do something that hasn't been done before. Why? Okay, then let's look at some song composers that are also drummers. Dave Grohl, he would be around here. Roger Taylor from Queen, he would be around here. Phil Collins we have had. Lars Ulrich, he would be over here. Very close to Taylor Swift. He's actually a good example of courage level look at my dick. So why don't we drummers have more courage? I think the many repetitions have lulled us to sleep. And that combined with the fact that capitalism controls all facets of the music world gives us this world. We drummers remind me of my parents. When you ask my parents, well, how is it going? They mostly answer, yes, everything is nice and easy. And they want today to be the same as yesterday. Danish married couples, especially in Jutland, remind me of theater actors. They always come on stage in the same way and they say the same lines every night, all the while expecting their teammates to also say their lines in an identical way, while at the same time pretending to be another person. Keep in mind that this is the ultimate form of happiness. Why is all of this a problem, you can ask? Because of this Edward O. Wilson quote. The real problem with mankind is the following. We have an emotional apparatus derived from the Stone Age, medieval institutions, and a godlike technology. Everyone who plays with Steve Gadd will say that he has a great feel in his playing. But our feeling system is very old, derived from the Stone Age, and can be figured out by the machines. So in just a few years' time, you'll be able to press a button called the Steve Gadd feel in your computer. And suddenly your playing will sound and feel totally like Mr. Gadd. So you won't have to put in the hours. And do you know what is really good at repetitions? Your computer. So what should we do as drummers? Surprise yourself. And if you want to repeat yourself into infinity, then try to repeat a rhythmic sequence that hasn't been heard before. And would it be completely crazy if we drummers took stands on moral and ethics and politics and we dared to stand up for what we believed in? Look at Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. They are not drummers. But they have opted out of Spotify due to Joe Rogan. And who is on Joe Rogan's team? Well, it's guys like Kid Rock and Ted Nugent and Eric Clapton. And who plays drums for Eric Clapton? Sometimes. So ask yourself, who would you rather go to a concert with? Kid Rock or Joni Mitchell? And where would you fit in this graph?